What's going on? Is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me, but I just got home off of an early morning flight, right? First thing through the door, I want to see my family. I love my family. You know, I'm a family man. I'm an advocate for families, right? Second thing, I got to get that hot shower because I got to throw the threads on. The threads make me feel like $1,000,000, but the third thing through my mind and all throughout the trip is that I got to have that Tiege pack. Tiege makes my life uncomplicated. It's uncomplicated skincare for men. The first way that I started specifically was their level 1 system. It's a daily face wash to get rid of the dirt and grime on your skin. 2 times per week exfoliate and scrub to get rid of the dead skin cells. An AM moisturizer with SPF 20 because you should always be protecting your skin from the sun. And a PM moisturizer to help your skin stay hydrated and healthy throughout the night. Here's the thing. My favorite part about Tiege Hanley is that every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. They really making the process of achieving and maintaining amazing skin for men uncomplicated. In addition to amazing skin, members of Tiege Hanley get tons of benefits, including at least 20% off the retail price, the ability to customize your box, exclusive monthly deals, you can pause and cancel at any time, and you get free shipping. And because Tiege Hanley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers an amazing deal, right? Just click the first link in the description and you get 30% off your first box, plus a free gift. It's an amazing deal. You got to get started today. You're not out here trying to look like a dusty. And if you travel as much as I do, which I'm sure most people don't, but you know me, I'm pushing my bag chasers in order to be in the top 5%, top 10%, top 1%. We got to make our lives uncomplicated, and Tiege Hanley is no better product. You got to look good. You got to smell good. And you can't be looking like a dusty. Make sure you get started today. Click the link in the description. Get that Tiege pack. Feel the Tiege, my friends. What's going on? Is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. What up, friends and family? I'm just getting y'all put on the big screen real quick so that we can get into the show. What up? How y'all feeling today? Everybody good? Everybody in a good space? I'm excited. I'm absolutely positively excited to make sure that I'm coming before you guys today. What up, Trap and Slay Sabrina? Where y'all checking in from? Let me know where y'all checking in from so we can be able to kick it. Who got an anniversary today? Amp the Champ. Shout out to Amp the Champ. Yeah, we back in the studio. I got my girl Q pulled up on me last night, getting it in. My dog J Ben says, if you did not hit a like for the algorithm, then you are a dusty. What up, friends and family? I'm very excited to be back in the studio with y'all today. We got a full show today. And now that I'm in the studio, I can really cook up. You know what I'm saying? Houston, Texas is in the building. Virginia Beach, DMV. What up, Nashville? PG County, Cali, Nashville, Virginia Beach, the Peach State. Let me see who else we got up in here. Seaside, Cali. Got a lot of Houstonites in here. Dallas, DMV, Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Miami Beach, expensive NYC, Sacramento, Fort Myers, Greensboro, North Carolina, Jersey, Indian Village, Macomb County. What up to my dog Kojak? Miami, Rosedale Park, 5 years of marriage, says Amp the Champ. Can we get a round of applause for Amp the Champ? Shout out to Amp the Champ. Rio Rancho, New Mexico, DMV, Clarkston, Jersey, headed to Rhode Island, Longview, Texas, Fayetteville, Florida, North Miami Beach. I like North Beach more than I like South Beach, that's for sure. Wilson, North Carolina. Buckeye, Arizona. Can't tell you my city. Might get brought to the front of the congregation. You met your girl in middle school, Amp the Champ. Wow. Jamaica, St. Louis. I know Pearland is in the house. I see Q, so I'm going to just go ahead and mention it for her. Stream was crazy last night. Odessa, Texas, Phoenix, Houston, checking in from Detroit, Trenton, New Jersey, Memphis, Inland Northwest. On the line, Durban, South Africa, Pearland, Texas. Yo, what up? What up? What up? What up? When's the next meetup? Q, you tell me when you want the next meetup to be. When do you want the next meetup to be? Texarkana, Texas. Shout out to y'all. Hey, where would you like the next meetup to be? That's the real question. It's not about the when, it's about the where. It's not about the when, it's about the where, man. What up? What up? What up to all of my friends and family? I'm glad that y'all joining me, and I'm happy to be back in the city. Detroit, Michigan, West Side, said DJ Ace Productions. What's going on? Hey, listen, before we get into Q telling us where we should be or where we need to be, I want y'all to know that every last one of y'all, and this is before I even do quick hits or anything like that, every last one of y'all are special. Every last one of you guys are special. You may not know it. You may be so focused on what everybody else is doing that you have not been able to mine out your superpower. But you are special. Ladies, yes, you do have a special thing about you. Fellas, it's something unique about you that is so much different than everybody else around you. And you've spent so much time focused on what everybody else has been doing and trying to be a me too that you have not been able to mine out your superpower. Now, I know that my superpower, Rita will actually argue differently, but my superpower is, and it's a very basic superpower, it's my work ethic. What makes me unique and what makes me special, when everything in my life is going absolutely positively wrong, when I can't figure out what my right is from my left, when this person is over here complaining and this thing over here is not working right, and in corporate America it seems like everything is messing up because you got hackers over there and stuff, you know what I retreat to? I retreat to my work. And that's why I work so much, is because what I've learned over the years is my success. And what makes me unique is the fact that I have a work ethic unlike anybody else. For some reason, God has put it into me, and he's given me a superpower, which I've explored and mined out, and I've had these conversations extensively, is that he's given me the ability to endure longer than everybody else. Now, some of you are going to think that your superpower is something unique. You're going to think that it's something out of this world. Oh, man, I'm not a savant when it comes to math. Oh, man, I can't jump as high as everybody else. You wasn't born as tall as everybody else. You know what I'm saying? You don't have the genetics or whatever. You know, you can't grow hair on your face, or you may be feeling like you're a lot more introverted and you can't see things as clearly as everybody else. You spent so much time focusing on what everybody else is awesome at, or what's popular amongst people, that you have not found your superpower. When I've studied some of the most successful people in the world that is alive today, they are not special. They are not special when it comes to the things that society would deem is unique about them. One of my favorite people to study, and I've studied him extensively, is Dan Gilbert. Nope, it's not LeBron James. It's not Magic Johnson. It's not Chris Brown. It's not Gunna and Future and Drake and all of these people. Those are not the people that I study. Those are not the autobiographies that I read. I've studied Dan Gilbert. Dan Gilbert can't be any taller than 5'1", 5'2". But what I've learned about Dan Gilbert is not his ability to be the smartest in a room. It's not the fact that he was the tallest or anything like that. Dan Gilbert looks for a certain level of things, or certain things as far as shaping the culture of the companies that he built, that allow for him to continue to be incredibly successful. He has vision. He has vision that he executes on. It's not that he's smarter than everybody. If you understand Dan Gilbert, somebody said LeBron made Dan Gilbert. Dan Gilbert was a billionaire before he bought the Cavs. Let me not focus on the Dusties, because again, this is the stuff that gets us distracted. And this is when y'all start to focus on things that's not unique. Dan Gilbert has vision. He visualized and executed on the process that it took to create Quicken Loans, Rocket Mortgage, wind up buying the Cleveland Cavaliers. He wound up moving his entire company, because he was born and raised in Michigan, back into the city, which then set the precedent for what downtown Detroit wound up becoming. And then he wound up creating Bedrock, which is one of the biggest real estate firms in the United States of America. Everybody that is awesome, everybody that is focused, everybody that can really dial in to understand who they are and what makes them unique, that's the thing that's going to be your success. Do you know that there's people that are successful not necessarily because they have any unique talent, but it's their ability to be able to listen? Do you know that there's people that are successful at marriage that then translated into them being able to give other people coaching and game on how to be successfully married all day long? Do you know that there's people that know how to speak, orate, people that know how to debate, people that know how to dissect different things that then make them unique? Jordan Peterson became famous because he stood up against tyranny over in Canada. And then people started to recognize his intelligence, which then translated into him doing a worldwide tour right now. Every single one of us have something unique about us, but we so focused on what everybody else is doing and what's popular in society, and it's not going to translate for you because that's not for you. That's not your calling. That's not you. Have you ever sat down and spoke with the people around you? I ain't even telling you to get super spiritual and talk to God or anything like that. Have you ever sat down and spoke with the people that love you the most and the people that surround you and said, hey, honestly, don't tell me what I want to hear. Tell me the truth. What makes me any different than anybody else? And what do you see in me that makes me unique? Ask them. Do the exercise. Ask them, what makes me any more unique, and what makes me special to you? And tell them to be honest about it so that you can actually understand and start to mine out what makes you awesome. I'm able to identify talent and surround myself with the right people that ultimately yield more success, and then it yields more loyalty to me. When I seen Q, right? And this is just one example because she's in the chat, and so she understands this and she can actually substantiate this, right? When I seen Q, I didn't see Q in the same way that everybody else seen her. Because very few people are able to see past the surface of her, and they can't understand what makes her unique and what makes her special as far as her intelligence, her ability to be able to put things together, her loyalty, the dedication that she has to success. You know what I'm saying? People can't see that. And so when they see her, they see one thing. And when I seen her, I was like, that's just the surface. Who she really is, because I was paying attention to her on the panels back when we was on the other panels. And I was like, honest to God, I was like, yo, she different than everybody else. She's genuinely different. And so when other people are looking for one thing, I'm seeing the talent, I'm seeing the growth, I'm seeing the opportunity, I'm seeing, wait a minute, she don't even know what she got yet because she's only been nurtured to this extent, and it's very difficult for people to be able to get past that one thing, which maybe God gave her to me for a reason, so we need to make sure that we nurture this other thing, and so we can get her to this next level. You see what I'm saying? When I seen Quentin, when people see Quentin on the panel sometimes, they don't know the real him. They don't know the him behind the scenes. But I was paying attention to some of the other things that he was doing and he was saying, and it kept becoming visible to me. And I was just talking like, why is this guy so loyal to me? And why is he doing this? And why does he do that? And the guy was like, yo, that's your guy. That's your guy right there. And so when everybody is looking at him because he got thick skin and they say, oh man, he is simp. No, Quentin is authentically him, and he's not trying to be nobody else, which allows for him to really find out who he needs to be and surround himself with the right people that can add value into his life, because I see the awesomeness. See, y'all don't understand that Quentin is practically a genius when it comes to his ability to be able to decipher between things. He knows how to break bikes down. Quentin is an expert in so many different unique things that y'all have never bothered to ask him about, because the only thing that you see is what it is that he presents on the panel. And so people can't mine through all of the technical details and the loyalty and the dedication that he has to things that make him awesome, because you don't know him. And often at times, we like to narrow people down to what they talk about or who we see them as on the outside or the presentation layer. But the reality is that every last one of you are unique. You are absolutely awesome. And that's why I'm very appreciative. When I see people in the chat, I love Eric Daniels. I love your car. I love Azriel. Azriel has been rocking with me for a long time. And I know it's too many of y'all to name, but I'm just telling you, there's people that God have surrounded me with and that I've been able to be a part of y'all life, and we add value. Mary Elizo, Rico Jank. Yo, I love y'all because when I come up to y'all and I kick it with y'all, Fa Brown, you know that when I show up at these meetups sometimes, it's people that's so loyal to me that they be questioning other people that be trying to come up to me that don't even be around me or are not supposed to be there. Fa be like, hey, hold on. What y'all got going on over there? It's people that's genuinely, Jay Ben, that's my guy. If you know Jay Ben, then you also know his wife, one of the sweetest women that I've ever met in my entire life, Brittany B. It's some genuinely, Rhonda, what up, Rhonda? Next Level. I talked to Next Level on the phone. And Next Level was like, yo, Ton, I said, bro, just based off of this conversation that you and me having right now, you don't need to go back to where you came from. You don't need to go back to the place that you left because you're doing too good. And so what you need is a real friend to tell you the truth, not the friend that you think is in your corner that just wants you to crash out. See, I talk to these people in real life. I kick it with people in real life. Spaces, Ari, XO, Wealth Building Journey, all of these people, y'all are a unique people. I just want y'all to understand this. Honestly, stop. Don't think that you belong when you don't. Don't think that you belong when you don't. You don't belong with everybody else. That's the thing that I really want y'all to understand right now. You not like everybody else. Have y'all ever wondered why y'all get hate sometimes or in real life? Why it don't seem like you all fit in? Because you don't. You don't fit in. We not like everybody else. And I'm cool with that. Because some people going to call us weird, but I think that we special. I don't want to be like everybody else. I don't want to fit in with everybody else. I'm made to stand out. Every last one of y'all are made to stand out. And so what I need from y'all is I want y'all to genuinely do some deep diving and some soul searching to know who you are, where you stand in this lifetime, what your purpose is, because we need you. I need you. I need you in my life. Every last one of y'all that are watching this right now, I need you. It ain't but a few of us. I know it seemed like it's a lot of us because of the amount of subscribers that we have, but in reality, in the grand scheme of things, we are in a wicked world. We are in a space where people don't agree with us because they want to be in a status quo. They dedicated to going to the parties. They want so bad to be liked that they willing to sell their soul and do anything for $1. And so when I say, no, we got to get it the right way. God don't allow for you to skip steps. And in order for you to be successful based off of this path that we going right here, we got to do it the long way. We got to do it the hard way. It ain't going to be easy for us. We got to seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and then everything else is going to be added unto us. We can't do it the same way that everybody else do it. We can't do the hack. We can't take the PPP loan. Listen, we special, which means that the minute that we do some scamming, we going to jail. Because God like, oh, no. Let me catch you right now. Let me put these bracelets and these metal handcuffs on you so we can teach you the lesson now so you don't crash out later. So you're not a representation of me and making me look bad. That's what's wrong with the church. It's too many people that's representing and claiming righteousness, but they not really of that ilk. They using it to make money. They not using it to glorify God. And so what I'm trying to tell you is that you are needed. Stop thinking that you just a regular person. You not. Grow up. Do the right thing. Take care of your business. Get your life together. How are we going to be able to leverage your talent in order to continue to advance what it is that we doing and reaching other people and trying to save souls and trying to get people to the next level and save communities and saving marriages and getting people up to the next level if you not going to do your part? I can't do it all by myself. It's only 24 hours in a day. I can only talk to so many people. I can only add so much value. I need you to do your part. Whatever it is that you supposed to do your part. You ain't that tough. I don't care what neighborhood you from. I don't care how real you thought you were. I don't care if you thought that you was a player and a playboy. God ain't made you to be that way. He taught you so you can go back and tell somebody else not to do it. We need squares. I want squares. I want people that's dedicated to righteousness. I want people that want to do it the right way. I want people that want to get rich. I want people with great relationships. I need people around me that got the right mentality, that actually want to level up. Now, we may leverage the marketing opportunities in order to get more visibility, but let's be clear. It's a way in which we go about doing things, and we not trying to be like everybody else. We separate. You know what being sanctified means? I remember when I was teased when I was growing up because I was so steadfast in the fact that I love God, that when you was called a square because you gave your life over to God. When you said that you were saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost, they didn't understand what the words meant. But what we was taught before we ever got down and asked God for forgiveness or got baptized or ever did anything, you know what they did to us? They made us understand what we was doing before we did it. And so it taught us that we was set aside. We was special. We was supposed to be without spot, wrinkle, or blemish. We wasn't supposed to go to jail like everybody else. We wasn't supposed to be in the streets with diseases like everybody else. We wasn't supposed to be out here suffering like everybody else. We wasn't supposed to be suckers. We were supposed to be better than everybody else. And that's why we were set aside. That's why we had to be special. That's why we got teased. That's why we got ridiculed. That's why they called us squares. That's why they called us nerds, because we was not supposed to be like everybody else. We went through it early so that we knew what we was getting ourselves into when we grew up. We wasn't supposed to be suckers. We were supposed to be great. We supposed to be kings. And kings don't get to do what the peasants can do. They got to go through their training. They got to be set aside. They got to be protected. They got to be upheld because they got a whole kingdom that they need to rule and a whole group of people that they got to save. You can't do what everybody else do. That's not for you. Grow up and step into your purpose. Step into what it is that you're supposed to be doing on a daily basis. Stop trying to be like all of these suckers out here in the street. They dusty, they broken, they hurt, they don't like you. These women think that they want to go and be with other women. They stepping outside of what it is that they ordained to do in the first place. They not going to be the ones that inherit the kingdom. They don't get the riches. They don't get the girl. They don't get the success. They suffering silently by themselves. You don't want it. I promise you, it's sweeter on this side. It's peaceful on this side. It's blessed on this side. If nobody told you that this is what you're supposed to be doing, I'm telling you right now, get out of your feelings. Stop feeling a certain type of way. Stop being dusty. Stop aligning yourself with people that's not going in the direction that you're going in. Grow up, add some value to the group, and become what you're supposed to be. And we going to push you and we going to hold you accountable because there's no man left behind over here. We running it up. We gonna be successful. We get the girl. We get the marriage. We get the relationships. We get the network. We get God, and we get heaven on top of it. We live our life. We get heaven on earth, and we get it afterwards. We get everything. We get our cake. We get our cake. We eat it too. If the only thing that you got to do is reject the negativity, what you waiting on? Come on, man. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Let's take care of business. We gonna get it or we gonna get it? Come on, man. This ain't for you. That ain't for you. Shout out to my guy, Mike. I appreciate you. Thank you for continuing to hold me down. Also, my dog, Mike, that dude, always holding me down. Shout out to you, big dog. P. Shank says, good morning, Mr. Anton Daniels and the Millionaire Morning Show. That's why I love coming into the studio, Because I could break out in here. See, when you in that hotel room or you doing a live stream from some other place or some other location, you can't really break out. But when I'm in the studio, I can really do what I want to do and I can say what I want to say and I can really be that. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't wait to get back into the city so that I can kick it with y'all. Shout out to P. Shank and running it up. A.R. Smitty is in the building. A.R. says for an immaculate sermon. Thank you, A.R. Smitty. I appreciate you. Now y'all be wondering why I be wanting to get back into this. I don't be wanting to be gone too long. Let me get back into my zone. Well Building Journey says the 12-week year by Brian Moran and Mike Lennington. Shout out to you. I appreciate you. The Well Building Journey. Jay Johnson says, as much as I hate Oregon and the 5K elevation, still trucking along. I appreciate your motivation, AD. Real talk. Shout out to the Chasers. God bless y'all. If y'all not a part of the Bag Chasers, link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. I appreciate y'all. Key James says, you preaching today, Anton. We getting there. We gonna get there. We gonna save people one person at a time. We gonna save one marriage, one person, one relationship. We getting there. Let's get to it, y'all. Chris Bout 777 says, thanks for the message. You got it, Chris. I got you. Utilize it. Utilize it. D Got Sauce is in the building. Shout out to D Got Sauce. I appreciate you. Gregory Bates is in the building. Says, thank you. I needed this morning message. Love on each other. Love. I did. Hey, K. Cooper, I had a bad attitude when I was going. I said, man, I can't wait to get back to my studio. I'm ready to get to the studio. Y'all ready to get to it? All right. Quick hits, y'all. Let's get it popping. Quick Hits is a segment of the show that we don't necessarily think that we need to bring every single issue and make it its own issue. We definitely want to keep y'all informed of what's happening out in these streets. So, Quick Hits, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, the protests continue on college campuses. It continues to spiral out of control.
Begin, though, with the tensions across this country over Israel's war in Gaza that stem from that October 7th Hamas attack. We continue to see the demonstrations in multiple cities now, including here at Columbia University in New York City, where the school says students have 48 hours to remove an encampment. In Brooklyn, hundreds of Jewish people were arrested near the home of Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer after holding a Passover Seder, which doubled as a call for a ceasefire. Nancy Chen is at Columbia for us this morning to bring us the latest. Nancy, good morning to you.
Gail, good morning to you. There are protests overnight here on campus, but it is overall calm right now as conversations with students continue. A representative from Columbia University tells CBS News there has been some progress made with pro-Palestinian demonstrators, but tensions remain high.
Outside of Columbia University's campus, demonstrators continue to rally. After the school's administration warned students on campus to dismantle their camps or face consequences, some are seen breaking them down, while others remain defiant. From coast to coast, California to Massachusetts, demonstrations expressing anger over Israel's bombardment of Gaza. At NYU, plywood barricades were erected yesterday around a campus plaza. After unruly demonstrations Monday night, 120 people were arrested. New York City Mayor Eric Adams blamed the unrest on outside agitators.
People who peacefully protest for an issue, they're not throwing bottles and chairs.
Earlier in the day at Columbia, protesters reiterated their demands, including an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. And one of the most crucial components, cutting off any financial interests connected to Israel.
Our first demand is complete divestment from anything related to Israeli settler colonialism, apartheid, and genocide.
The words apartheid and genocide are loaded, but the idea of divestment is a refrain echoed over and over by protesters we spoke to on campus.
Financial divestment, financial transparency.
Is financial divestment.
Hold on, sir. What you doing out there?
We spoke to on campus.
Financial divestment.
This what y'all doing out here in these streets? Let's continue.
Financial transparency.
Is financial divestment from any companies that...
Have y'all realized that they all saying the same thing? Listen, watch this.
Financial transparency.
Over by protesters we spoke to on campus.
Financial divestment, financial transparency.
Is financial divestment.
This is nothing but the Matrix, y'all. This is the Matrix. These are people that are influenced by other people that want to belong to a group. And so what they do is they start to join in, and then they feel empowered by being around other people that validate their existence in that particular movement. That's why you see them all talking the same way. They all say the same thing: financial divestment. Then the next person, financial divestment. It's the same thing that happens in a community. When I go on social media and I scroll up and I see some blackity black, or I see people talking about money, or I see black people in particular talking about money, they usually say generational wealth, the wealth gap, it's the system, systematic oppression. And then they all are influenced by each other because none of them actually know what to say. They're being fed this propaganda that ultimately lead to an overwhelming amount of people that's protesting. And I don't even think the majority of these people go to the school. Eric Adams got it right this time. He said, listen, people that are peacefully protesting, that's actually a part of these organizations, that's a part of the actual school, that's a part of Columbia, they're not throwing chairs and bottles. They're not throwing chairs and bottles. I personally believe that these are people that are paid, and these are plants that go in, stir it up, and this is why y'all have to be careful about who you're interested in, who you're following, and what you continue to spew out of your mouth. Life and death is in the tongue.
From any companies that profit off of Israeli apartheid.
According to Kenneth Stern, who has studied pro-Palestinian campus protests for decades, calls for divestment in Israel have gone nowhere on campuses for more than 20 years because the issues in Israel are not politically simple.
No campus has decided to divest from investments in Israel or companies that do business with Israel. And part of the reason is that unlike some things that have gotten them to divest, whether it's tobacco, stocks, or things related to climate, this is a political debate where people have strongly divergent views.
And on top of that, divestment isn't practical.
It would be very difficult because there's so many companies that deal with Israel. There's so many mutual funds and other things. It would be very difficult to segregate them.
But the practicality may not be the point. The point may just be the protest.
And Speaker of the House Mike Johnson is expected to visit Columbia's campus later today to meet with Jewish students as we now enter day 8 of protests here. Gail.
So, again, be careful what you follow. I don't believe that the majority of the people that's at these protests, that's starting to spread all across the United States of America at these major universities, I don't believe that this is just an issue that's singularly affecting what's happening on campus. I think that these places are being targeted. That's my own personal opinion. More importantly, I also believe that this is a huge distraction from the upcoming election because it happens every 4 years. Somehow, some way, we only get major protests at this level during election years in 2024. So just be careful. Be aware of what it is that you're taking in every single day. Also, on top of that, Governor Kathy Hochul, who I think is actually the person that should be held accountable even more than Eric Adams, is signing into law new anti-squatter laws in New York. Check it out.
The governor of New York speaking out just a few minutes ago about the new anti-squatter law that she signed into effect. The push for change came after a series of 7 on your side investigations into the problem. Investigative reporter Dan Kraut was there, joins us in the newsroom with more. Dan?
Sandra, the governor signed off on the squatter law as part of the state's new budget package. I just got done speaking with her about it and how it became a reality. What are your reactions to the changes made in state law, and how do you think they will impact New Yorkers moving forward?
Well, we put them into state law because it makes sense, and I thank you for your reporting that put a spotlight on the...
Let me also say that this is the woman that helped craft and put into place the Survivors Act over in New York that ultimately led to a bunch of women that filed a lot of lawsuits, and even in a larger sense, helped take down Diddy when it came to Cassie filing her lawsuit in order to get however much money that she got from that whole settlement. So Kathy Hochul is not a good person, in my opinion. Kathy Hochul is absolutely, positively, there needs to be a spotlight shined on her actions, but that's for another day. We gonna get there, I promise you.
The fact that there are people illegally in other people's homes and creating havoc. And so we needed to make sure that our budget, the laws that we introduced just last week, would address this crisis.
After a series of 7-year-side investigations, a handful of lawmakers pushed for changes to state law, and the governor signed off on those changes this week. They voted to revise the way tenants are defined in the law to exclude people who don't have a homeowner's permission or legal right to be inside a property. They say it will make it easier for police to remove squatters instead of having to take them to housing court.
So squatters do not have the rights as tenants. That is firm. They can be prosecuted, and there'll be consequences to them. So that is the message that should go out there. You are not living in those houses legally. And again, I thank you for your coverage of this.
This new law goes into effect immediately, which means when police show up moving forward, someone has to show real proof they're not a squatter. Food receipts and word of mouth won't do.
So that's what's happened over in New York as far as Governor Hochul, who I think is absolutely a horrible governor in my personal opinion. And then last but not least, another lawsuit is contributing to the bankruptcy of Dalton, and that Tiffany Henyard is now being sued again by another person. Check it out.
After presiding over the brief 15-minute meeting, Tiffany Henyard quickly left, ignoring our questions on the way out.
At the Thornton Township Board of Trustees meeting, some came to the defense of the embattled village leader.
The type of attack that we're seeing strictly off of allegations is unheard of.
This was Henyard's first public meeting after sources say the FBI on Friday served subpoenas at Dalton Village Hall for personnel and business records, and after Dalton Village Administrator Keith Freeman was indicted last week on a federal bankruptcy fraud charge.
Stop having one-sided narratives because it is not the truth. It's only one-sided.
So here's my question. If it's a one-sided narrative, then what is the truth? She keeps talking about she gonna drop the receipts, she gonna drop a new podcast, she gonna tell you what the truth is, but she ain't handing over the documents, she ain't handing over the finances, she not actually showing a receipt, she not doing anything. And so all she keep telling us is to not believe what she see from people, and it's only one-sided. But the reality is, she not showing anything at all.
It's a shame that the media comes out and they only show negative things.
Seconds after adjourning the meeting, Henyard was gone.
Mayor Henyard, you have a minute to talk to ABC 7 about the FBI investigation. Mayor?
Henyard is named alongside Dalton Village trustee Andrew Holmes in a sexual assault lawsuit filed by a Dalton police officer who was a member of Henyard's security detail, as well as a woman who used to work for the mayor. And now a new lawsuit alleges Dalton officials gave a barbershop owner the runaround in improperly denying a business license.
I was just chasing my tail. And as I'm chasing my tail, my finances were wearing thin.
Tyrone Isom Jr. says he worked with the village to purchase and renovate this building, only to be told his license was denied by Mayor Henyard. The complaint alleging a policy of choosing and denying applicants for financial and political reasons.
Everything Mr. Isom was doing was within the parameters of the law. And for whatever reason, which we'll ultimately find out, Mayor Henyard said, nope.
This evening, a representative for the village of Dalton declined to comment on that lawsuit.
Watch
I'm sorry, I was muted. My bad. So yeah, that's what's happening with Tiffany Henyard over there in Dalton. I can't really say that I feel bad for the people though. Thank y'all. I caught it. I can't really say that I feel bad for the people though, because y'all voted for her. So on one hand, I could say, well, Tiffany Henyard, she absolutely is doing the wrong thing and she not on top of things or whatever like that. But on the other hand, I can also say that y'all voted for her. And that's one thing that we got to have a conversation about. Y'all keep saying that y'all vote don't matter. You keep saying that your vote don't matter. But at the same time, now you got a mayor that's controlling and ruining and running your town into the ground. And I even tell y'all that participating on a local level is much more impactful than participating in the national election. But you guys decided that you didn't want to vote. Y'all had a low voter turnout rate. The people that did vote, y'all voted her in there. And now you have to deal with all of the stuff that comes along with it. So Why you gonna sit there and complain about it? No. Keep telling me. Keep telling me about how it don't matter about whether or not you vote or not, or why you shouldn't participate in the process because it's already rigged. Was it rigged in Dolton? Was it rigged in Dolton? Because she said she got like 83% of the vote. Is it rigged already? Or do you get to determine who the person is that's spending your resources and controlling your elections? I'm just curious. How don't it matter? Listen, for everybody that ever wanted to come up with that stupid debate and that stupid argument saying that their vote doesn't matter, so why vote anyway? Cool. Then why y'all sitting here protesting against Tiffany Henyard? Absolutely, Azriel. Keep that same energy 100% of the time. If you don't participate in the process, you don't get to complain about the results. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your quick hits. All right. Let's get to it. Let me read some of these super chats, and then we're going to continue over with the show because we got to get to a lot. We got to go get to the new foreign aid bill. We got to get to the TikTok ban. We got to get to Chicago's Brandon Johnson. We got to talk about the homelessness crisis and people living in their vans over in Montana. There's a lot going on, y'all, so we got a lot to cover. Let's do it. Michael Johnson says, thank you for preaching, AD. I needed that. I'm part of the Bag Chasers, and I need that coaching call. Email me at antondaniels413@gmail.com, and we're going to get you set up. Also, if y'all not a part of the Patreon, the link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Join the Chasers. I will be announcing tomorrow the time and the date that we doing our next stock club, and I have a new video coming for you guys. Maybe I should save some of these rants for, I don't be knowing what I'm saying, but maybe I should save some of these rants for Patreon. Kicking it with a Chef says, Anton, I love you and thank God for you, #Chasers. Shout out to my girl, Chef. Shout out to my girl, Chef. Hey, Q, I think I might spend the holiday season next year instead of going down to Miami. I'm kind of burnt out on Miami. I think I might go to Hawaii. Q, save your money. We going to Hawaii for the winter this year. This upcoming holiday season, I think we're going to go to Hawaii. Amp the Champ says, just because blessings upon thee, let's be great. Shout out to Amp the Champ. Will the CNA says, yeah, I need that motivation. This morning, blessings to you and yours. Happy belated born day. Happy birthday month, fam. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. T. Crawford says, AD, you think $6K for a trip to Tokyo is cool, $2,600 for the flight, and the rest to enjoy myself. You got to also think about accommodations. If you're paying $2,600 for the flight, and you also got to, how long are you going to stay there? Tokyo is not very, very expensive. I think you can get away with it for $6,000, 100%. If it's just you, I think you can get away with it for $6,000. You can do $2,600 round trip. If you buy it early enough, you can probably get it cheaper than that. And you got to pay for your accommodations, which housing is not really, really expensive unless you stand at a very expensive place. And food is pretty cheap. We was going to all the noodle places and all of that stuff. So yeah, you can get away with it for $6,000 all day long, depending on how long you stay there. All right. Yeah. Shout out to you. I appreciate you, T. Crawford. Bam Flacco says Tiffany's story is going to negatively affect good intended young black politicians. No, it's not. Maybe it's going to help them because you're going to have to understand that they're not playing no games. And if you ever want to hold public office, you got to be on top of your game. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Jeremy H. says, POTUS just told TikTok they have 9 months. Yeah, we're going to cover that. I'm actually about to get into that in a couple segments from now. Y'all do know the name of the show is called TikTok Banned, right? We going to get there. I'm going to cover it all today. Jeremy H. says, POTUS just told TikTok they have 9 months to sell. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it, big dog. Let me see what else we got. Couple more super chats. JP is in the building, says, long-time watcher, big fan of your work, 25 years old. Shout out to JP. We gonna get it. Y'all want to do a meetup in Hawaii over the winter? Over the break? Y'all gonna have to save up now because Hawaii is expensive. Yes, Hawaii is one of the most expensive places to stay at over Christmas break. But we'll talk about it. I'm gonna put a poll up in the Patreon today about if y'all want to plan for that, and then we can go from there. All right, let's continue with the show. Tesla. Not only do I want to talk about layoffs, I also want to talk about tech layoffs specifically, because we know that the majority of the layoffs over at Tesla is at their manufacturing facilities, okay? But we want to talk about the state that's being impacted the most, because it's not Texas, right? We know that it was a bunch of people that got laid off at Texas, but Tesla is effectively culling close to 10% of their workforce. That's what the word is on the street. And then I want to tell y'all how tech companies are now determining who they want to lay off, not just Tesla, but a lot of other places, all right? Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. More layoffs, this time over in Oakland and in California in the Bay Area.
Thousands of people will be laid off from Tesla, including 2,700 people here in the Bay Area. It is all part of the company's plan to terminate 10% of its workforce, or about 14,000 people. KTVU South Bay reporter LaMonica Peters live now in Fremont near Tesla's plant with more about the layoffs and what it all means for the company. LaMonica.
Julie, business experts that I spoke to say these layoffs are part of a transitional phase for this company. Tesla is facing tougher competition and bringing in less money, and now they're making some changes.
I believe a attempt of Tesla to get better, but I don't think that we've seen the last of it.
On Tuesday, Tesla filed a warn notice announcing that it'll lay off 2,753 people at a dozen Fremont locations and at 5 locations in Palo Alto. Tesla announced last week that it'll lay off 10% of its more than 140,000 employees to reduce cost.
In their most recent earnings announcement, they reported that their EPS, their earnings per share, fell below expectations, below the consensus of what analysts had expected, and also their revenue had been decreasing for the second year in a row.
Tesla also lowered prices by $2,000 in the U.S. on 3 of its models. Facing more competition in the electric vehicle market from companies like BYD in China, the car company has seen a drop in deliveries and lower demand for its cars in the first quarter of this year.
Specifically in China, where BYD is now leading the charge.
Look at that. You know that's coming here, right? I know y'all don't think that it's going to happen, but they said the same thing about the Japanese cars. They said the same thing about the Korean automakers.
It's
China,
coming here.
Where
BYD is now leading.
That thing is coming here. And they doing it at significant cost cuts. We not going to have no tariffs over there because they probably going to build a plant here. UAW is going to probably try to unionize it. And all of it, they already shipping across the world. They're already shipping across the world. And they're largely incentivized by the Chinese government to continue to grow. And they have the full backing of their government because the United States of America is truly a capitalistic country. And we don't move the same way that other countries are, and that we're incentivizing and we're putting resources behind American companies in order to continue to grow, or preventing companies from coming over here and doing business without having to invest in the same way that we are then required to invest if we go and invest over in other countries like China, right? But these type of cars is coming here, y'all.
The charge in terms of vehicles sold worldwide.
And I see some people like, oh, man, that's ugly, or it looks like a hamster car. It says, hey, Wyatt, let me tell y'all something, bro. They said the same thing about Hyundai, Kias. When the Japanese automakers came here, they said the same thing. You know what I hear people saying about Hyundais? And more importantly, Genesis. Genesis is the new luxury brand of Hyundai. You know what I hear them saying? Oh, man, their design team. They hired the designers, the former designers from BMW. And so now they're like, oh, my God. And trust me, I follow everything automotive outside of what it is that I do here on the Millionaire Morning Show and the conversations that I have on the other platforms, right? I'm telling you that people are obsessed with the design language and the stuff that they're manufacturing from Korean automakers and Japanese automakers here, okay? They get better, they evolve, they learn American ways, they hire designers from here, and then they absolutely positively put even more pressure on the stuff that's happening right now. I'm telling you. Do y'all know that Warren Buffett and the late, great Charlie Munger was one of the earliest investors in BYD, which is a Chinese company? All right. Remember I told you.
Those vehicles come at lower cost than the average Tesla, are very attractive, and are making inroads.
Still, Grote says Tesla is one of the leading car companies in the world. And despite the recent layoffs, he thinks Tesla's technology and brand marketing will keep the company afloat.
I do believe that there is the possibility that we'll see more layoffs, because Musk has announced that he wants to launch hot and heavy into more automated production, robotic factories, probably a lot of AI in that as well.
So let me pivot for a second, because we know that California is being hit hard, which if you bothered by it, then go ahead and get you a fast food job, because you'll be making at least $20 to $25 an hour. Yes,
New at
BYD
2, we have
is
learned
coming.
Tesla is
Eduardo.
laying off more than 3,300 employees in California. The majority of them are in the Bay Area. More than 2,700 employees work in Fremont and Palo Alto. This is according to the California Employment Development
We'll talk
Department.
about it, Twisted
The
Pup.
remaining
I'ma
employees
cover it in
work
the next Stock
Burbank
Club.
and Lathrop. The layoffs will begin in June. We have reached out to Tesla for comment. We are waiting for a response, and we'll keep you posted.
So let me show you how tech companies, because we know that the manufacturing layoffs, they just are what they are. A lot of it is based off of seniority or where it is that you work and what vehicle that you're producing, right? But tech is a little bit different, because Apple is laying off as a result of, removing Project Titan, which was their secret program, the secret not so secret program that they were using in order to develop cars, right? They decided to get out of that business. And then we know what's happening over at Microsoft and Google, and they had no problem firing the 28 Googlers that decided that they wanted to protest inside of the CEO's office. And so how do they determine who they're going to lay off? Is it just random? Is it based off of the project that you have? Well, now they're developing a new way in which they're determining that they're going to lay off tech workers. And this is very interesting. Check this out.
The practice of stack ranking employees might be making a comeback in Silicon Valley. Kate Rooney joins us now with the latest for today's Tech Check. Hey, Kate.
Hey, Leslie. So after massive waves of tech layoffs, employees may have thought their jobs were a little safer. That might not be the case at this point, with new forms of stack ranking making a comeback. This is where you rank employees on a bell curve and then cut the bottom portion of those. It was made famous by the late Jack Welch, the former CEO of GE. It's sometimes called rank and yank. Tech companies have been bringing it back in different forms as a means to keep headcount in check during these new years of efficiency. And heading into earnings, discipline and cost discipline is really a big theme and what investors want to see across tech. So names like Amazon, Alphabet, Meta have all cut double-digit percentages of their workforce after overhiring during the pandemic. They all use some sort of employee rating system. The information also reporting that Shopify is now using a numeric rating system. Then only those whose scores increase in a review period are eligible for raises, according to the report, which Shopify executives are pushing back on. The return of what some see as a more cutthroat internal rating system does signal a shift, though, in tech company culture. So back in the pandemic, they overhired and they were fiercely competing for talent. And then came the end of zero interest rate that really changed the hiring landscape dramatically. Companies started laying off thousands of workers. You can see in that chart there, the layoffs really peaking early last year. Tech companies now need to prove that efficiency, and they've been awarded for some of the cost discipline and layoffs. Not just big tech, though. You got Coinbase, Square, PayPal. All of those companies have gone through sort of the same structure of layoffs, and you've seen it reflected in the stock price, guys.
There used to be, I'm going to attribute this to Jack Welch, and I may be doing so incorrectly, that there was a feeling that you culled the weakest 10 or 15% of the herd every year. Is that where these tech companies seem to be going?
Yep. It does seem to be that strategy, this sort of, instead of going through these rounds of layoffs, this almost pruning of the workforce. And it's seen as, in some ways, a meritocracy. There are people out there that like this and say that's the fair way to do it. You also hear about something called a PIP, a performance improvement plan. So that's common in tech. That if you hear, I know, Tyler, hopefully you're not on a PIP right now. But it's where it's kind of seen as like the Grim Reaper coming. It's the signal that you're probably going to get laid off, but they will give you the opportunity and say, all right, here's your opportunity to go and improve your performance. But it's seen as a negative in tech. And Leslie, this might resonate. covering the banking sector. But I've talked to folks who say, this also happens in banking.
Yep.
Goldman Sachs, for example, if you're not a top performer, you're not going to get that bonus and you're probably going to be let go. But it's less explicit. These tech companies have implemented these new systems and ways to rate people. And it's easier to kind of prove and quantify in finance. If you're not a top trader, it's easy to say, okay, listen, you're looking at the P&L. Leslie's bringing in the most as far as trading. Kate's kind of underperforming. We're going to get rid of Kate. Whereas in engineering, it's a little bit more subjective and it's a lot more team oriented. So the downside of some of this stack ranking can often be less collaborative, has been.
Let me tell you something. In the tech world, especially as an engineer or software engineers or developers, we know who's who. And if you work with anybody for over a month, you know if they know that they know their stuff. We know who the top performers are. And, one of the beautiful things about engineers or engineering in general is solving for problems that are both apparent and that you don't know that you have yet. And so it's a little bit of innovation. And the idea behind being an engineer is not just doing whatever it is that they tell you to do, but coming up with new things or performing to an extent based off of new technologies and new developments and, all of that stuff. And so the idea that we don't know or tech companies don't know who's the top performers, who's good at their job and who's not is a myth. It's not subjective. We do code reviews. We can see who the performers are. We know who continues to work outside of work. We know who's continuing to grow their skill set and evolve and is truly immersed in what it is that you're doing. And so this works as far as you just being able to be there. You got the degree. You can still do whatever it is that you want to do. You come in, you do a couple hours of work and you keep going. Nope, that don't work, especially in a time of famine. It's a time of feast and it's a time of famine. Famine, only the strong survives. And this is the difference between unionized employees and employees that are forever at will, because you make a lot of money, but at the same time, you have to deliver. You have to do and you have to deliver on a regular basis because it is a kill or be killed environment. And so if you want to survive in this new world, you have to continue to improve your skill set. You got to continue to grow. You got to continue to get certificates. You got to continue to protect. You have to really perform. You do. You got to perform. And the only way that you can perform is to put in your 10,000 hours. That's the difference. See, there's always going to be the super crazy tech geek that just get it, and he's great at what he does. And then there's others of us that got to put in our 10,000 hours. And if you're not putting in your 10,000 hours, you will be destroyed. Look, it's the same thing when it comes to content creation, except for we don't have no boss. It's over 2,000 people in here right now. The consistency is crazy. You know what I'm saying? And I see content creators fall off. They have a hot moment, and then they fall off. They can't maintain it, and it's no longer enough to go viral. Going viral is not enough for you to create a social media platform and for people to be able to rock out with you. That don't work. You got to add substance over a stronger or a longer period of time. Otherwise, people are going to be like, I used to follow them, but they don't really know what they're talking about, because if you let them talk long enough, you can see that they're a little corny or they don't really know what they're doing. And that's why people look at this as the career that they want to go into. You're not guaranteed to make no money in this. It's so many content creators. Look, less than 1% of us is getting it. Less than 1% of us know what we're doing. Less than 1% of us get better year over year. Less than 1% of us actually continue to do what we do. That's why when I look at the people like the DJ Academics, I got to salute him. I got to give him credit, because his ability to be able to stay relevant and at the same time grow his platform and even grow as a creator is admirable. You may think that he's corny as a person, but DJ Ack be streaming. He be working. I had to give some props to Rory and Mal. When I first looked at Rory and Mal's new podcast, I was like, Rory and Mal, they've been cooking lately. I've been following their whole takes on, they probably had some of the best takes when it comes to the hip hop culture and this Drake thing and the music and everything like that right now, they have grown. See, listen, I'm not no hater. I'm not no hater. I give credit where credit is due. If you looking dusty, I'm gonna be like, yeah, that's a little shaky over there. If you doing great, I'm gonna be like, you know what? I didn't like what they was doing before, but I'm definitely gonna give them credit for what they doing right now. Because Rory and Maul they cooking, they potting. I don't know if it took for them to actually have to be away from Joe for an extended period of time for them to find their footing, but right now, they potting. And so I love it when people do what they do, and this is the kill and be killed industry. In the same way that it is in tech. See, listen, if you want to be safe, stay with your job. If you want to be safe, go to work every day, hope and pray that you don't get laid off, continue to put your time in, grow your skill set, and you'll be fine. Work there for the next 30 to 40 years, put money into your 401k, make sure you make your investments, you'll be fine. But if you want to step out here with the big dogs and you want to run, don't quit your day job. Don't quit your day job. That's all I'm saying. So it's rough out here in the tech sector. It's definitely rough out here in the tech sector. Let me go ahead and read some of these super chats, and then we're going to move over into the next segment of the show. Organized Truth says, Mr. Daniels, what is your thoughts on the FTC banning non-compete clauses? Is this good or bad for businesses? I think that it's bad for businesses. I think that it's horrible for businesses. 100%. Non-compete clauses, it's horrible for businesses. For somebody to just be able to take and go over and move over into your competitor with the level of knowledge that they have that they've learned from your company is crazy to me. It's 100% crazy to me. So I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it, but I'm going to deep dive into it a little bit later into the week, and I'm going to tell y'all exactly what it is that I think about it and why I think that. Bag for Bag says, hey, Anton, could you do a video on After Hours about these so-called veneer tech with certificate that have popped up over the years? Some have been arrested and even sued. I have not seen anything about it. Email it to me so I don't forget about it. Email it to me, and then I'll do some research into it. Naranda, shout out to Naranda. Smith says, Trump said if he gets elected, he tax those Chinese cars at 100% if they don't have Americans building them when they try to sell them here. We'll see. We'll see. But first, he got to get in an office because I'm not necessarily guaranteeing and sure that he's going to get in the office. Let's continue on the show. I'm going to get to the TikTok. I'm going to get to the foreign aid bill in a second. But we got to knock out a couple of quick hits real quick. I like to call them quick hits, but they're just reality checks if you ask me. Brandon Johnson. Before we get to Brandon Johnson, I want to share with y'all what's happening with some of these small businesses that have a larger footprint in Chicago in particular.
Yeah, both customers and employees were caught by surprise today. They say they had no warning that the stores were about to close their doors. In fact, take a look at the Foxtrot location here on West Lake in the West Loop. You can see they've already put a padlock on top of the door. In fact, some customers were inside shopping when they were asked to leave.
I literally come here every single day of my life. It's like the best place I could cry. I can't believe it closed with like no warning.
Those stores shut down. The doors locked just before noon today at 15 Foxtrot locations around the Chicago area and 2 Dom's Kitchen and Markets. Customers gathered around the closed doors, taking pictures of the small sign in the window, telling them about the closures and thanking them for their patronage.
They just shut the doors, padlocked the doors. Got stuff all in there. Like it's full of merchandise. They didn't do a 50% off. We're liquidating. We going out of business or none of that. They just said, hey, y'all shopping right now? We about to close the doors. We shutting everything down. We padlocking it all up. They didn't even give a warning. It was people that was in there shopping, and it was full of merchandise. The store shelves is full. And then they just they told everybody to get out. They padlocked the doors. They left the lights on, and they got the heck up out of there. All of the locations, every one of them. That's what's happening to small businesses. AJ says, don't listen to Anton. Don't give 100%, 110% to a job that will replace you in an instant. What? Okay, hold on. Let me pause for a second. I know y'all want my attention. Who told y'all to give 110% to your job? Do y'all just make stuff up because y'all want me to address y'all like the bad kid inside of the classroom? What are you talking about? What I said was, when you step out on your own in order to start your own business, it is a kill or be killed mentality. Nobody is going to pay you for not doing a bad job. Nobody's going to put you on a PIP. Either you're going to dedicate yourself and you're going to win, or you're not. Now, if you want to be safer, then stay in corporate America where you can get a paycheck, you can get health care coverage, and then you can invest your money and you can still become a millionaire that way. But what are you talking about as far as don't listen to Anton, don't give 100% to a job that will replace you in an instant? What are you talking about? Do y'all misquote people on purpose in order to get attention? You want me to address you? Jesus Christ. Oh my gosh. Listen, do your job, meet expectations, do what you're getting paid for. What does that have to do with giving 110% to your job? I can't, man. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes I'll be trying to figure out, is it a disconnect between the way that I communicate and tell y'all what y'all need to do? Are y'all focused? Do you got your listening ears on?
Now, these closures come just 6 months after the announcement that Dom's and Foxtrot's would merge. The stores are corporately based in Chicago, and Foxtrot had 18 other locations in Washington, D.C., Dallas, and Austin. A statement on the company's website apologizes for any inconvenience, saying they explored many avenues to continue business, but found, quote, no viable options despite good faith and exhaustive efforts. Hundreds of people working at these stores are suddenly unemployed, many of them hugging and crying as they walked out for the final time, including a woman we talked to outside the Dom store on North Wells.
They didn't tell us nothing. They just said we ain't got no job. It's an unbelievably shoddy way to end. I mean, just shut the doors.
Just devastated. We're really deeply saddened by this. This was a popular location in my ward. I had 4 locations in the 2nd ward, 3 Foxtrots and Doms. And the Doms on Wells Street was very popular, crowded all the time. Whatever caused this closure, I can tell you it wasn't lack of customers. People supported them from the grand opening forward.
Alderman Hopkins going on to tell me that there are
lack
of grocery options in the Old Town area along Wells Street there. He says they're hoping to
Look
put
at my
a
man.
store up in the old Treasure.
Look at my man with the skinny jeans in the background. He said, hey, man, I was coming in here to get some Foxtrot. Check it out.
Area along Wells Street there. He says they're
Hey,
hoping
what's
to
going
put a
on,
store
buddy?
up in the old Treasure Island soon. In order to bring some more options back to the neighborhood. On the near west side, Dane Placco, Fox 32 Chicago.
So Chicago is losing businesses rapidly. On top of that, they have a crime problem. And more importantly, they just approved more migrant funding to the tune of an additional $70 million. And residents are absolutely pissed about it. I mean, they are angry. And so what they're vowing to do right now, I don't know if it's just these people that's watching the Millionaire Morning Show or what, but what they vowing to do over there in Chicago, they trying to get Brandon Johnson up out of there. Brandon Johnson ain't even been in office for a year. Y'all got at least 3 more years of Brandon Johnson helping y'all to understand that y'all need to focus on the fact that these is just large gatherings and you're not absolutely not under duress when it comes to criminals terrorizing your neighborhood. All right?
The citizens of Chicago have a lot to say.
after the city council approved an extra $70 million to care for illegal immigrants. The mayor's office says nearly 40,000 of them have arrived in that sanctuary city since August of 2022. Try millions in Texas. Try that out. Well, they are a sanctuary city, Chicago, so what do they expect? They put out the shingle. And tax-paying Chicagoans showed up in force ahead of the city council vote.
The city doesn't feel the same anymore.
Y'all mismanaging this. Failing, actually.
We need that money in my neighborhood.
$70 million. Y'all won't even put $1 million in one neighborhood.
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. That's a crazy number. To know that y'all been funding the migrant crisis to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars a year, that's crazy. Honestly, like, genuinely, that is insane to me. And I mean, when you start to say the numbers, it just seemed like it because we throw these numbers around all the time when we're talking about federal budgets and local budgets and state budgets, and it'd be billions and billions of dollars. But I mean, let's really put this in perspective. $70 million, and my man said it. He really captured the sentiment. He said, $70 million. Y'all ain't even putting $1 million into this thing over here. Honestly, it really is an interesting number when you think about it.
Y'all won't even put $1 million in one neighborhood.
Vote for the money for these immigrants today, and we coming for them seats.
Yeah. Ooh, they're coming for somebody else's seat, too. Democratic Mayor Brandon Johnson's. Organizers of the recall movement need some 56,000 signatures to get the recall option on the ballot later this year. We'll be watching. Fox News political analyst and Chicago native Jono Caldwell. Jono, I did notice some anger in the room, but I also noticed some people with a plan.
Absolutely. And they are doing the right thing by saying we're coming directly for your seats, including you, Mayor Brandon Johnson, as Mayor Brandon Johnson's message, I believe, to Chicagoans has been quite clear. Get on the back of the bus. Now, that's everybody, but especially those black voters who are the reason he's mayor today. Get on the back of the bus. And these voters in Chicago, and I speak to a lot of them pretty regularly, pretty weekly, they're serious about voting for Trump. They're serious about handing the election in Illinois to Donald Trump, as you only need 20% of Cook County, which is within Chicago. That's Cook County, the county that encompasses the suburbs as well. He can win Illinois.
Now, let me also say that I'm not so sure about that, because Illinois, for a long time, has always been blue. Did I tell you all about what happened to me when I was on my way to Biloxi? Rita liked to laugh at me about this one. So I'm sitting in Mod Pizza. So I did a vlog outside of Mod when I was addressing people or whatever like that. And then I put my vlog down, or I put my camera down, and I went in there. And there was some people that recognized me or whatever like that. And it was an older gentleman that wind up being on the same plane as me. Yes. An older gentleman, right? Not that much older. Probably about 10, 12 years older than me. He was probably about 54, 55 years old. And he was an older guy. He said, "Hey, man, I recognize you." And I said, "Oh, yeah?" I said, "Hey, how you doing?" So I'm always cautious, right? Because I don't know if people recognize me because they don't like what I had to say and they really a hate watcher, or if they agree with me. But he was an older gentleman, so I just assumed that he didn't necessarily agree with me. I said, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" He was like, "Yeah, your name is Anton." And I said, "That's me." I said, "Yeah, I watched you on YouTube a couple times." I was thinking to myself, "Oh, a couple. He probably watching this right now." This is the honest to God truth. And he said his wife walked in shortly after, and he said, And he looked at his wife, and his wife said, "What's up, honey?" And he said, "Trump." Huh. Oh, Rita was laughing. So Rita thought that was so hilarious. He said, His wife said, "What's going on, honey?" He said, "Trump." And I was like, oh, man, here we go. Now I'm about to get on a flight. I didn't know at the time that he was going to be on the same flight as me. He was way in the back, though, so it was a little different. I got to get on a flight with this older man. I said, oh, who do you usually watch? Huh, we only really watch. And the wife was looking like, we? He said, we only really watch Roland Martin. I said, oh, man, we got us a blackety black over here, Rita. Rita Starlight, I said, we got us a blackety black. He said, what is a blackety black? I said, so you voting for Biden? Ha! That's the only person that I'm voting for. I said, oh, okay, interesting. He said, I don't know why you would even vote for Trump. What has he done for black people? So you know me. I said, well, you did pick the right one today. I'm not really sure if you're familiar with what I do. So, of course, I started going down HBCUs and record amounts more than any other president before, and record unemployment and North American Free Trade Agreement and the tariffs on China. And, I started running the gamut, and so we started getting into a little bit of a debate. And I said, listen, I respect your right to vote. I also respect your right to ignorance and following Roland Martin. And everybody looked up, because you know me, I'm going to be who I'm going to be regardless. It don't matter where I'm at. If I'm at the airport, I'm right here online. I said, I respect your right to vote. I also respect your right to be ignorant following Roland Martin. I said, but here's the thing. You keep telling me about why you voting for Biden because of what you don't like or who you don't like. What exactly are you voting for? I mean, what's the worst that can happen with going with Biden over Trump? I said, we see what the worst is can happen. We negotiating closing off our borders. And, I just started going in and, no, see. Honey, and then he just did like this. This is what he did. He said, he just put his hand out. I shook his hand. Said, have a good day. Have a safe flight. Then we wind up getting on the same flight together and all of that other stuff. My point is that I say all that to say I don't believe that Illinois is ever going to turn red. I don't. It don't matter how many facts you hit somebody with. It doesn't matter whether or not they can substantiate their argument. It don't matter if Kamala Harris went over in Chicago and said, we getting rid of every last job and we going to replace it with migrants. You know what they're going to do? Vote them back in. You know why? Because they're loyal to a party and they're not loyal to a policy. They're loyal to a party and not loyal to a policy. I know this seems like it's a big thing. Oh my God, they're going to get Brandon Johnson about it. No, they're not. No, they're not. Brandon Johnson going to be right there. You know why? Because Brandon Johnson is not doing anything different than what he said that he was going to do when you elected him. Brandon Johnson, to his credit, even though I disagree with it, I don't disagree with democracy. Brandon Johnson, to his credit, is not doing anything different than what he said that he was going to do and what his outgoing Beetlejuice partner was doing before him. He's just doing it a lot more fervently and he's doing it a lot more aggressively, which is exactly what he told y'all that he was going to do when we had a conversation and I told y'all that this was a bad person for y'all to pick and it's not going to be best for y'all city in the first place. So I ain't say what? Anton, they said, they always telling me what I didn't say.
Hello?
Yo, what up?
Hey, what's going on?
Do you remember when we went to Mod Pizza inside of the inside of the airport?
Yes.
Why was you laughing so hard?
You talking about when he told his wife or whatever, he was like, Trump. Like we got one or something.
Okay, so let me ask you another question. How aggressive, honest, and be honest to God, like on your mother, on your living mother, How aggressive did the conversation get, and how loud was we arguing?
Like you was on the live stream.
Say it again louder.
Like you were on the live stream.
What did you say to me when I was done about how loud I was and how aggressive we had got?
I don't remember what I said specifically, but I know it was something along the lines of you was a bit loud and aggressive, and that you probably should have toned it down a little bit.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
I said exactly what I said. What you gonna do? Listen, we both went through TSA. It ain't like you got a pistol. You can't do nothing to me. We was waiting on the flight. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? I'ma say what I wanna say when I wanna say it. I'm not gonna sit here and negotiate with terrorists. Rita was like, yo, Anton, you gotta be a little bit more quiet. You can't be that aggressive. I was like, oh, I thought we was having a conversation right now. I was just meeting energy with energy. He shouldn't have pointed at me and said Trump to his wife like that meant something to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, but to get to my original point, because I'm going to say what I want to say when I want to say it. And anybody that's ever met me in person, it's Azriel, it's a whole lot of people in here that done kicked it with me in real life. I am more in real life of what you see online. I am more of what I am in real life than what you see online. And so if you meet me and I got good energy, that's because that's who I am in real. What I have to do online is tone it down. They'll tell you, I jump on top of bars, I make big speeches, I tell the DJ to shut the music down, Anton from Anton Daniels is talking. I'm exactly that. That's exactly what I do in real life. Don't let me get a drink in me. Don't let me get a drink in me.
Now, the problem is for many of the Chicagoans there, they've been destitute for many, many years with services from the city. Since I was a kid, 14 years old, working in politics, people have been asking for help and resources, and they say they didn't have any until now.
Well, they had the resources. They just weren't spending them on you, the citizens. Okay, so you mentioned Trump. And you mentioned blacks in particular taking a look at maybe voting in their own interest. You know, I had lifelong Chicagoan Kata Truss on the Focus back in February. She got a bigger conversation around the nation started about her frustrations in Chicago. Let's revisit.
Turn Chicago red. We are so angry with Pritzker and with President Biden and with our mayor that we have decided that we're going to vote Republican this time around. Wow. That's just how angry we are. We are so angry that we are willing and going to turn our backs on the Democratic Party.
So what do you predict will happen? I know they want to unseat people. Will that actually happen? Because typically, as you get closer to voting day, everybody goes back to their silos and they get a few goodies or whatever from Democrats, and they're reminded that black people vote Democrat, and if you don't, you're not really black. President Biden said that. So what do you think will happen?
Well, if just look at the sentiment across the country. In Denver, that was recently an asylum-seeking group who said just to give us 6 months worth of rent, food, cash, and all these other things is a slap in our face. For people who never committed a tax dollar ever, it's a slap in their face. But you turn that same mirror on in Chicago, and they see folks in their neighborhoods, places where they used to send their kids so they can be safe, park districts, a number of different entities that have been taken over by the migrant class, and people are upset, and rightfully so. I think we should be watching very closely what's going to happen in the DNC, because that message right there before the election is going to resonate very clear about how Chicagoans are feeling about the Democratic Party, especially bringing the migrants to the city, but many other issues like crime and others.
I don't believe that Chicago personally is ever going to switch over to being red at all. I think that Chicago is as blue and through as California is as a state. I don't think Chicago or Illinois is ever going to flip over the red. But the people said today about that life, so we're going to see what's happening out here in these streets. Let me read some of these super chats, and we're going to continue on with the show. Tech Coach Ralph says, boot camps give a misconception of how techs work. Absolutely. Why do y'all think that I always tell y'all to do it the long way and make sure that y'all go and get y'all degree? You're 100% right. Everybody that was in boot camps can't get no job now. I told you. You mentioned that we need to have an online presence, but doesn't this mean we need to do some form of content creation? How does it work for jobs? Okay, let me put it like this. For me personally, the first thing that I do when I see somebody that we're about to bring in for an interview or something is I go and look at what it is that they are on social media. I can tell whether or not they cleaned up their social media. Most people, 98% of most people, just leave their social media however it is. And so I say have an online presence, and that it's not necessarily going to prevent you, if you don't, from getting the job that you want. But what it will do if you do it correctly is that it'll actually help you separate yourself from other candidates. It'll help you separate yourself from other candidates. Because if you then give a good or decent online presence, now, if you're doing something like I'm doing and you out here with a YouTube channel and you're talking that talk, that might not be conducive for you as far as your online presence. But what I am telling you is that when you show that you are connected with technology and you're using it correctly, right? It can be the separation between somebody, because it'll feel like they actually knowing you. They're actually vetting for the person that they're going to get come into the office, that then have a conversation with them if they understand what your online presence is. There's also a way for you to be able to market yourself more effectively. If y'all spending more time on Instagram than you are on LinkedIn, then that's a problem. If you are a professional, but you're leveraging Snapchat, but you're not leveraging LinkedIn, that's a problem. You'll spend more money to be able to get likes and views on Instagram, then that ain't even translating, but you don't want to do anything when it comes to your ability to even upload a photo on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a form of social media, believe it or not. People won't spend no money on making sure that they get their resume tight and in tip-top shape, but they spend a whole bunch of money on Amiris and Balenciagas just to take some pictures for some likes and views. You see what I'm saying? So you having an online presence is more than just Instagram. It's making sure that your online presence is aligned across multiple platforms, and that what is it that you want people to see when they observe you? When a woman sees you, her seeing you taking good pictures, or you got your family up there and you looking, your family is an opportunity for you to leverage visibility in a positive way for people that are observing you, or people that decide that they want to do business with you, or people that say that they want to hire you. If you are up there, right, and all of your pictures is crisp, and I'm talking about all across the board, right, on all multiple different platforms, your pictures is crisp, you looking good, you know, you showing the other side of you where you got a good family, or you having some fun and stuff, and it's not in bad taste or anything like that, that can absolutely be a benefit to you when it comes to separating you between other candidates. And they're not going to tell you all the time and say, oh man, I followed you on social media, or I was looking at your social media. They just know that they're paying attention, because in the same way that you research them, if a recruiter says, hey man, or an executive recruiter say, hey Anton, we want you to go in front of this person, and we got the director of this and a VP of that, and senior leadership on this side, and these are the people that you're going to have to meet with. The first thing that I do is I go and look them up, and I go and research them. That's the first thing that I do. And I don't just research them on LinkedIn. I research them across the board, and I'm trying to understand who they are. Because the sooner I learn who they are, the more effective I can be in the interview process, right? And so your online presence, or you not having an online presence, can absolutely be the thing that prevents you from getting what it is that you need. I can't be having these talks with y'all. These are talks that I'm only having with the bag chasers, all right? Big Mama Scooby says, hey, Anton, can you wish Big Papa Scooby a happy birthday? He turning, okay, so you 85, absolutely can wish Big Papa a happy birthday. Let me say this. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Big Pops. Happy birthday to you. Shout out to Big Pops. A round of applause for 85 mother-loving years on this earth running up a bag. Yeah. Shout out to you, Big Pops. Hey, man, listen. Enjoy every single day. Love it. Live it. People around you absolutely enjoy you. You have had a phenomenal life. Most people don't even get close to that. And the fact that you that in good health and in your sound mind and spirit and you got good energy, yo, man, enjoy your day. Enjoy your life, man. God bless you. I hope that everything goes well and you have a phenomenal birthday. Happy 85th birthday, big dog. Shout out to you. All right. Let me see. JC Cuts in the building says 80. What do you think about the cybersecurity careers? I think that there are budding careers in this industry that is just going to continue to grow. If you can break into the cybersecurity space, you will have a job for life. All right. AR Smitty says a Roland Martin flex is insane. Facts. I was looking at him like he was crazy. You know what I'm saying? Courtney Smith, what up, Court? Says at the end of the day, the Democrats are ultimate Negro whisperers. You said it, not me. My dog, Ash, what up, Ash? Says Chicago, Cook County runs the entire state of Illinois. Democrats for life. This is the main reason after military retirement, I never returned back to Chicago. No representation. Yeah. Shout out to you, Ash. I 100% agree with you. King Stennis says, I don't see it happening, but there's always an increase like the last time. Yeah, we gonna see what happens. Tech Coach Ralph says, almost a year into starting my channel, I've gotten way better in many areas of tech, as well as much more confidence in public speaking. Shout out to Tech Coach Ralph. Absolutely a gem. If y'all not a part of the Patreon like Tech Coach Ralph is, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. All right, y'all, let's get it popping. TikTok. Now, TikTok. I remember when TikTok first came on and everybody was doing all of them dances. TikTok wasn't even supposed to be for y'all. I'm going to read the super chat shortly. TikTok wasn't even supposed to be for y'all. I remember a long, long time ago before the pandemic hit. And I started seeing Keith Lee doing those booty popping dances. I said, who is this? Next thing you know, he big on TikTok and he doing food reviews. Shout out to Keith Lee. Your past ain't necessarily your future. And when we was on TikTok and my daughter first downloaded TikTok and they was doing all of these dances and stuff like that and all that. And then I seen a bunch of people doing Fortnite dances. You know, the same dances that every little kid do when the camera come on them on the big cam when they at the basketball game and stuff like that. Yeah, I remember. TikTok wasn't even for y'all dusty old people. But y'all, like everything else, y'all took over. Next thing you know, we see women telling 50-part stories and 50-part series, and y'all influencers now, and y'all influencers. Well, guess what? Yeah, the Senate, Congress, Biden, all of them, they said, listen, we don't agree on much. We don't agree on borders. We don't agree on inflation. We don't agree on jobs, and we certainly don't agree on safety. But the one thing we agree on, and two things is for certain, is that we agree that TikTok needs to be banned. I know y'all didn't think it was going to happen. You got a limited amount of time to make sure that you're platform agnostic. What does platform agnostic mean? It means that you're not interdependent on one platform in order for you to be able to do what you do as a content creator or a social butterfly. Now, Q. I love TikTok too, Island Girl Q. Let me get her name correct. Island Gal Q. I like TikTok too, for Rita. I'm never on TikTok. Only reason I got TikTok is because they said that I had to be on TikTok. But I like it for Rita because it's a nicer place. See, Instagram is now like a dating app. TikTok is a place where she can go and look at the little stupid videos and her makeup tutorials. She can have fun. She ain't got to worry about nobody bothering her for the most part. And she can keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? The rest of these applications, y'all be trying to get on top of each other. But check it out.
The clock is ticking for TikTok. This evening at the Capitol, the Senate passed a bill that could lead to a nationwide ban on the popular app. It's now in the hands of President Biden, and late tonight, he said he plans to sign it. So what happens next, and when could your TikTok account go dark? NBC's Jocelyn Morano's with us with this late developing news. Jocelyn.
Yeah, Raj, a lot to talk about here. Congress is essentially giving TikTok's parent company two options: sell the platform to an approved buyer or see it banned in the U.S. We talked with a professor tonight who says there are legitimate concerns with the app, but we also talked with content creators who say the app has made a positive impact in their lives. Tonight, the future of TikTok in the U.S. is uncertain. The U.S. Senate passed legislation that would force TikTok's China-based parent company ByteDance to sell the social media platform to an approved buyer or face a ban in the U.S. It was part of a $95 billion foreign aid package that will deliver funding to Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan. It now goes to President Joe Biden's desk. He released a statement tonight announcing that he plans on signing the bill into law. ByteDance would have 9 months to sell, but the president could choose to extend that by another few months.
Or they can go through the other route, which is suing the government, and that can drag the case for years.
Professor Ahmed Banafas says there are legitimate concerns with TikTok, such as information they're collecting like your age, location, and contact list.
And all of this will create some kind of understanding of what's going on in the in the American society.
And while other apps on your phone can also collect information, Banafas says the difference is who has access to the data.
The fears are coming from the fact that the misinformation and the interference that we could see with the election by posting a deep fake video through TikTok, and it can spread like fire.
But some here in the Bay Area have seen the positive impacts of TikTok. Maida started posting videos of her now husband Aaron interacting with her parents in Spanish a few years ago. These moments captured by a camera and then shared with others.
I think people really gravitated towards like somebody who's not of Hispanic descent, kind of like immersing themselves in the culture.
They now have 1.4 million followers on TikTok. It's helped Aaron grow his business, and it helped them during a difficult time when Mayra's father unexpectedly passed away.
Cuando mi papá falleció, pudimos abrir un GoFundMe.
Wait a minute. Let me put some stop up in that. You telling me that he is talking to her and she don't know no hablo inglés? First of all, over here at the Millionaire Morning Show, one thing is for sure and two things is for certain. This is a Americano show. Maybe I need to change that. You know what? I got some ideas. We're going to get into that in a minute. But we do hablo inglés over here. We don't do none of that scribble scrabble talk. All right? Y'all going to have to put some subtitles. We're going to have to put some up on the screen because we don't like it unless they saying hola papi or something like that. All of that other scribble scrabble y'all keep talking, I don't like it. I feel like y'all talking behind my back. All right?
Their followers helped pay for funeral expenses. Now, like many TikTok users, they're paying attention to the future of the app.
I'm biased, but I think that it's, I think it goes against our
They don't even know what he's saying right now.
Basic human rights of like freedom of speech.
All right, so President Biden is expected to sign this package as soon as tomorrow. Now we wait to see what TikTok's parent company's next move will be.
So it's a strong possibility. Let me spin over here real quick. It's a strong possibility that this can go into effect today. Now, what that means is that it's not going to be removed from your devices immediately. Okay? Let me bring it back. So the problem isn't TikTok itself. It's not whether you like it or not. It's not whether or not you like these women that's on there talking all this nonsense, makeup tutorials or whatever. That's not the problem. What they're saying is that because it's owned by a Chinese company based outside of the United States of America, it's no way that they can actually tell whether or not this information and all of your data is being sourced and then used overseas in a negative way. They don't want information from users over here in the United States of America because it's a huge platform to then be used negatively to be influencing a lot of the things that happen over here in the United States of America without them having security protocols to tell what's going on. And so what the federal government did as far as passing this bill, it is a part of the foreign aid package. And we're going to get into the foreign aid package in a second. But what they're saying is that this is a security issue. They don't care about how many dances that you're doing. They're worried about your data and your information being sourced and used over in China for negative purposes, okay? So what they said was, we're going to sign this into law. The Senate, House Majority Leaders, all of them, they came up with a package. They made it a part of this foreign aid bill. Now, I'm going to get into the foreign aid bill in a second. The foreign aid bill, I'm going to save that part for the next segment of the show. My point is, when he signs this into law, because this is something that Biden agrees with, they all got a bipartisan agreement on this. When he signs this into law, what this is going to say is you got 9 months to find a buyer here in the United States of America, or we going to remove it off of the social media platforms. Now, what does that mean for users? That means that you don't need to be waiting for them to sign this into law. Doesn't mean that TikTok is not necessarily going away. Don't mean that they're not going to find a buyer. But I'm not putting all of my eggs into one basket. That's what it means. For you in particular. Now, we can understand what it means on the grand scheme of things. But for all of y'all that consider yourselves content creators on TikTok, you need to become platform agnostic. This is something that Kevin Samuels was adamant about. Absolutely adamant about. And of course, I think that they'll find a buyer because it's too lucrative. But here's the problem, Eric Daniels. Do they really want to find a buyer? Does ByteDance really want to sell? And are they willing to sell to an American company, considering that it is a Chinese-owned company?
Here's a live look at the White House, where President Biden plans to sign a foreign aid package into law. The Senate passed it yesterday after weeks of negotiations. So it provides $26 billion to Israel, $60 billion for Ukraine, and $8 billion for Taiwan.
We're going to get into that in a minute. Ignore this part of the segment, and let's just focus on TikTok, because I'm going to break all of this down for you in a second.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer touted the work that went into passing it yesterday.
In a resounding bipartisan vote, the relentless work of 6 long months has paid off. Congress is sending the supplemental to President Biden's desk. Getting this done was one of the greatest achievements the Senate has faced in years, perhaps decades. A lot of people inside and outside the Congress wanted this package to fail. But today, those in Congress who stand on the side of democracy are winning the day.
But the package also includes...
Noble Hotep says, where is our vote on this aid package, Anton? You already voted for it. You already voted for it. I'll get into that in a minute. Don't worry about it.
Includes a provision that could lead to the ban on the social media app TikTok. That is, if its China-based parent company does not divest. So Scott McFarlane is on Capitol Hill with more on this. Good morning, Scott. Influencers are not too happy.
Yeah, Marie, good morning. TikTok is on the clock, so to speak. They have a year to be sold by their China-based owner, or they'll face this possible ban. That would shut out 170 million American users, including small businesses. And in a Congress that agrees on seemingly nothing, this won overwhelming bipartisan support amid concerns China could use TikTok to exploit and access the private data of American users. There was an equation made by one Republican congressman, TikTok and a spy balloon in your phone. Another powerful U.S. senator said this is a possible tool of propaganda as America enters an election season. TikTok has indicated it's going to challenge this in the court, file a lawsuit, and they've been arguing this infringes on First Amendment rights. But this is going to be signed into law, likely today, by President Biden, Amber.
So this is here. D-Day is here for TikTok, okay? I don't want y'all to be confused. I don't want you to act like you didn't know. I don't want you to act like you're surprised. I know that y'all think that Congress don't get anything done, that President Biden ain't gonna sign nothing. This is happening, okay? Best case scenario, they sign it over and they sell it to somebody over here in the United States of America within 9 months. Worst case scenario, they don't sell because they don't want to give over control of it, and they decide that they want to keep it here and keep it over there in China, and it gets banned. But the fact of the matter is, from a content creator's perspective, I feel your pain. I absolutely, positively feel your pain. But I want y'all to understand that you have a friend in me, but do not, in any way, shape, or form, think that it's just going to be straight like that, and that's the end of the conversation. They don't care. They don't even understand technology to the point to where they actually care about allowing for it to potentially get in the hands of the Chinese as far as all of your data, and that they just gonna keep it in a form of free speech. It doesn't. Make sure that you put yourself in a position to where you don't suffer. You got 9 months. 9 months to make sure that you put yourself in a good position instead of depending solely on TikTok in order for you to be able to survive. This is happening. Biden is signing it. They already passed the bill. It's going to happen. He's going to sign it. 9 months from now, we're going to revisit this. So early 2025 might be D-Day. Who knows? We're going to see. We're going to see, all right? In addition to that, before I read the super chats, let's just pivot right over there. So you've seen a little bit of this in the last segment where they bundled it together just like State Farm, right? Or Progressive or whatever it is that you have your auto insurance, your homeowner's insurance. I know I'm a bundler. I'm a bundler, right? You know how they say that you can get it cheaper if you bundle it together? Yeah, I used to be a Progressive customer. Now I switched over to State Farm with Jake from State Farm. Really, I switched over to State Farm because I like the guy that was cheating on Savannah and waiting to exhale. You know, the other State Farm guy. Neither here nor there. But they say that you can bundle things together, and it's much cheaper, and it's easier for you to do so. So all of my cars is on my new insurance, and this is not an advertisement. State Farm, send me my money. All of my cars, give me a pitch package together for State Farm. They need to send me some money. All of my cars is on State Farm. My home, State Farm. Rental properties, State Farm. Everything is State Farm. I'm not even sure if I got rental insurance for this place, my business, and State Farm. But they say that you can bundle, right? Now, what is Anton talking about? Why is he talking about bundling? Well, the reason why I'm talking about bundling is because that's exactly what in all of these bipartisan bills that they wind up sitting on Biden's desk that he advocate for, that they do to you. They do it to you. What do you mean, Anton? Well, when you got the infrastructure deal, there was a whole lot of stuff in there that you wasn't familiar with. They just gave you the highlights. They didn't tell you all of the money was really going to, okay? When you got these CHIPS Act, there's a whole lot of stuff in there that you didn't read, but all you was focused on was the abortion and Supreme Court and stuff that we can control anyway. And so that's what you was focused on. You wasn't focused on reading all of the details inside of the CHIPS Act, right? And it's the same thing when it came to the foreign aid bill. A part of what they passed as far as TikTok being banned was a part of this foreign aid bill. It wasn't just for foreign aid. It wasn't just the $20-something billion that they were sending over to Israel. It wasn't for the $60-something billion, $68 billion or whatever that they sending over to Ukraine. It wasn't for the $8 billion that they sent over to Taiwan. It's also the TikTok ban and so many other things that's a part of this bill. And when they pass this stuff, it's important for us to have a conversation about it because you guys are ignorant. Ignorant not meaning that you're stupid. Ignorant meaning that you don't know any better because you didn't read it. And because we're willing to read the lyrics of Drake versus Meek Mill or Drake versus Kendrick Lamar or the Avengers in Future, and we want to understand we can quote every single word. If Metro don't shoot you, I'm going to shoot you. Yeah. Metro! We know all of the control verses and whether or not J. Cole is going to resign and he pulled out, but we don't know nothing about the things that's going to impact us, our families, and what is being passed. Somebody in the chat, they said, Anton, the American people don't get a chance to participate in these bills that's being passed? Absolutely you do. They told you what they were going to do when they were campaigning for your vote. when you have these legislators and these senators and these Congress members and these House of Representatives and the President of the United States, because there's layers within the government to prevent any one part having complete control of what happens in your life, when you vote for these people, when you say that you don't have a vote and you vote for them, you basically giving them permission to determine what happens as far as how these bills are passed. So when they come and they campaign for your vote, which what they know that in the black community, they don't have to stand on anything except for saying, hey man, we got some chicken and waffles for you. They don't have to pitch you nothing because you don't stand for nothing and they know how you gonna vote already. It's one of the reasons why it's so dangerous for keeping a state red or keeping a state blue. Is because if they know that they already got your vote, they only go over to the swing states in order to promise them and their governors something for nothing. Why you think that Biden was over there in Michigan when they was doing the UAW strike in order to get the UAW members and Sean Vane's endorsement? Why you think they only visit the swing states? Why you think they up and down Florida? Why you think they over in Michigan? They don't have to stop over to Chicago because they know what Chicago is. Trump ain't going over there to campaign or ask for y'all vote, or no Democrat or Biden himself is not going to go over there and to hold a rally over in California. You know why? Because there's nothing for you to ask for. They already know that you're going to give it to them. So why would they campaign and ask for your vote in a state that they already know that they got your support in? They don't have to give you anything. And more importantly, they don't have to add anything in a bill that's going to benefit you. Why? Because you're not going to read it anyway. You've already given them permission to speak on your behalf. This is why it's called a democracy. Your participation in it and your opportunity to vet for what they stood for as a collective and as a group happened when they decided to campaign for election, not when they decided to pass these bipartisan bills on your behalf. You don't believe me? All right. Let me bring you up to date of what's going on in these streets.
Breaking news in D.C. In the last hour, the Senate signed off on that massive foreign aid package, which includes billions for Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan.
Well, it now goes to President Biden's desk. Fox 8's Sharon Curley is live in the newsroom with how the vote unfolded. Sharon.
Asha and Steve, President Biden has vowed to sign it and get that much needed aid to Ukraine and Israel and Taiwan. The Senate majority and minority leaders in agreement tonight. They want to send a powerful message to enemies and allies. The message: the U.S. will support peace and democracy around the globe.
America sends a message to the entire world. We will not turn our back on you. Tonight we tell our allies, we stand with you. We tell our adversaries, don't mess with us.
Senate Democrats and Republicans agreeing to move forward with a foreign aid package recently passed in the House.
You know, it's not every day you can say you made the world truly a better place.
It would give $95 billion to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan.
Y'all don't even talk about Taiwan. You notice how Taiwan is never, ever, 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 ever in the conversation? What else is this foreign aid bill and package a part of? Because you got to remember, the reason why they say foreign aid and a bill, and the reason why TikTok is included in it, is because they're taking into consideration the security concerns that come along with TikTok still being a Chinese company and not an American company. That's the finesse. So now what they said was, we need to address security concerns because this impacts our foreign intelligence and aid and government and security. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add this as a part of the foreign aid bill in the package in order to address this issue. Otherwise, we would have to address it separately and attach it to something else and be able to justify why we're calling it or attaching it to it or labeling this a part of the foreign aid package, right? So now they can say, well, this is a security concern. So what we're going to do is we're going to address this while we're addressing Israel, Taiwan, and Ukraine. How many of y'all knew that they was even taking this up inside of the House? How many people, the content creators that depend on the platform in order to get the visibility and the money that they got, how many of them actually understood that TikTok was being taken up as a part of the foreign aid bill? None of them. You know why? Because they so busy being distracted by protests at Columbia They busy being distracted by the blackity-black conversation. Supreme Court is taking up unhoused and criminalizing the homeless. And we have to make sure that we listen to Kamala Harris talk about how we need to fight for abortion. Meanwhile, they're passing bills on your behalf, and they're not even taking you into consideration. Why? Because it's not a thing. It's not a thing. $98 billion of your money. This ain't they money. It's your money. It's your tax dollars. It's your money.
Including a measure requiring TikTok's Chinese parent company to sell the social media platform or be banned in the U.S. The progress coming after months of debate about just how involved the U.S. should be abroad. The agreement displaying a rare moment of bipartisanship among Senate leaders.
Y'all do realize that this man on the right, he the one that was having freezes, right? He was in the middle of a speech 2 times. Had to reset his chip, his Neuralink chip inside of his head. Look at the people that's representing Americans in your best interests. They can't even keep their mouths open. You know, my grandparents, once they get past a certain age, we just want to make sure that they're comfortable and they can do what they want to do. We not having them making decisions on the family. They supposed to already have put that into us. Now they're dependent on us in order to ensure that we taking care of them. Look, bro. He literally was like, we don't even know if this guy got a chip inside of him, if he the Manchurian candidate or not. And they're making decisions on what's best for y'all. You gotta love America, boy. We just vote based off of popularity. This ain't nothing but high school. All the way into the time. We stop growing in high school. Once you get to high school, that's it. We just become more of what we already are in high school. Popularity contest, yep. Politics, yep. Social media, yep. Every single thing that we do in our lives, yep. Our family. If you ever go to a high school reunion, I went to one high school reunion. I went to my 10th year high school reunion. I said, all right, cool, that's enough. This ain't no different than it already was. We already know exactly what it is. Same old, same old.
America stepped up, and the Senate held firm.
Mitch McConnell was over there short-circuiting. Y'all don't remember Mitch short-circuiting? Hold on. Give me a second. I remember Mitch short-circuiting. I remember Mitch. You're not going to sit here and trick me and act like I don't know what's going on. I know who y'all are. I don't know how they fixed them. No clue whatsoever. See, they think I forgot.
After finishing the NDA this week, has been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
Okay, Mitch? Anything else you want to say, or should we just go back to your office? Do you want to say anything else to the press? Go back.
Go ahead, John.
I'll take it back. Let's go back to you.
Go ahead, John.
I remember. I'm telling you, but go ahead, Mitch. Tell us what we need to do about TikTok, foreign aid, Ukraine, the whole 9 yards. Give it to us.
America stepped up, and the Senate held firm. It's time to reaffirm some basic truths. Alliances matter.
It was so difficult.
This ain't weird to y'all. Y'all don't just be like, damn, like what the heck is happening inside of the United States of America? Gosh, life is so weird. Y'all don't be thinking like, dang, Mitch is the same person that, helped pass a bill that is determining the fate of the future of the world. He can't even keep his mouth closed or open it up or answer a question of whether or not he gonna be all right. Come on, man.
To get to this point that it may even cost the Republican Speaker of the House his job because he worked with Democrats to push it forward. Conservative House Republicans objecting. They say the package does not include money for America's border crisis. Some liberal Senate Democrats also oppose giving more money to Israel's war against Hamas, while so many civilians are being killed in Gaza.
Netanyahu's extremist government has ignored urgent calls from the president and others to alter their military approach and to end this humanitarian disaster.
I want y'all to know that they just quickly address the fact that, hey, we ain't going to address the border crisis. We're not closing off the borders. Texas, you on your own. Arizona, you good. California, you straight. Florida, you straight. Don't worry about it. We're going to send $98 billion over to make sure that we take care of Taiwan, Ukraine, Israel. Those are the priorities. Sudan, don't worry about it. Border crisis, we good. Eric Daniels said, Anton, we need our allies. Are you saying that the bill shouldn't have been passed? I'm saying that we have some basic fundamentals that we had to solve for, or that we need to solve for, also here in the United States of America, but we're not having that conversation at all. At all. At all. Not at all. Two things can be true at the same time.
We want to bring in senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez. Gabe, you were listening to this at the same time we were. What stood out to you? What are some of the highlights in his messaging on Israel as well?
Hi there, Vicki. Good morning. Well, yes, as you mentioned, the president taking a victory lap of sorts and, saying that this was, quote, a good day for world peace. That's how he started his remarks. And this comes after intense negotiations over the past few months, Vicki. And, we're learning a little bit more about those behind-the-scenes negotiations where the Biden administration was deeply involved with congressional leaders trying to get this over the finish line. Now, it was back in October, Vicki, that the president delivered that prime-time address here at the White House, really making the case for a national security package. Well, it took several months, but finally, this is the result. And we're learning that he really reached out to Speaker Mike Johnson over the last few weeks and even directed his team not to antagonize Speaker Johnson. And one point that I did notice, Vicki, the president also brought up the issue of this package not including border security. Of course, you'll recall that in the first supplemental aid request that the Biden administration put forward, there was a request for border security. There was even a bipartisan border security bill that made it past the Senate, but the House was dead set against it, and former President Trump tanked it, essentially, by urging Republicans to vote against it. I found it interesting that President Biden really didn't go after Republicans much. He really, in these remarks, thanked Speaker Johnson for getting what he was able to over the finish line. And of course, he made the case once again to the American people of just how important this equipment, this humanitarian aid, and these munitions are to Ukraine, but also to Israel. One thing that did not come up in these remarks, Vicki, you alluded to it, the provision that would require the sale of TikTok within the next 9 months to a year. The president did not mention that. We heard some of the questions that were asked to him from reporters. That question's certain to come up. But as you just heard, the president walked away without answering any more questions. He's now heading to a union event here in Washington where he's expected to pick up an endorsement, Vicki.
But he's headed to a union event. Listen, y'all, this is y'all president. And he's headed to he won't even speak on the issues that's the most meaningful to the American people. But he's headed to a union event where he's expected to pick up an endorsement. Vicki, now back to you guys back at the studio. Jesus Christ. Oh, God bless us here in the United States of the Americas. We need your blessings, Lord. Let me read y'all super chats, and then we're going to get over to the last part of the show. Seminole 2014 says, hey, AD, do you know anything about PCI DSS? He said, Anton, do you know anything about PCI DSS? A little bit. So PCI is like a payment processing, and it's like a security standard within payment processing. So I don't know anything about it in particular, like in depth to where I can speak to it as far as, how you or whatever it is that you probably going into. But it is a security standard within payment processing in order to ensure that there's regulation across the board as far as how it is that you're accepting and dispersing payments. All right. So in a general sense, yes, I know what it is. I'm not really sure exactly what it is that you're trying to do with it. If you're trying to get into it, if that's a part of your job. So shout out to you, Seminole 2014. Tech Coach Ralph says, how did a $95 billion foreign aid bill ban TikTok? Yep. Well, it's a part of it. It's a part of it. 100%. China, Taiwan, Ukraine, Israel. It's just a part of the security bill. I don't know why they included it in that, why it was so important for them to do that, but they passed that, but they couldn't pass anything as far as making sure that our borders continue to get funded. Mr. Lott said it's like a pseudo cease and desist or a ban. Jeremy H says, so you think you can dance? A lot of TikTokers got their dreams crushed when they audition in front of a professional dance judges. I don't know nothing about that. Jamal Parks says they approved this faster than our own budget. LCC says, I just learned that American actually does not have an official language. America, you mean? Never did. It's not English. Thoughts. We speak no hablo español. We speak Americano over here in the United States of America. We speak Americano here. Yes, we do have an official language. It's called English, okay? We don't have to necessarily declare it. When the majority of the people over here speak it, that's our official language. As a matter of fact, it's Anglais. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to you. I appreciate you, LLC. Andre McGruder says, I heard there was a carve out that excluded sending of data to China, so data will still be sent there. I don't know nothing about it. I can deep dive into it to see it. AD, thank you, my friend, says A-Man on one. Thank you, A-Man on one, for contributing into the platform. The Right Insight said this foreign aid bill confirms the Hydra agents. Hell Hydra. Tech Coach Ralph is in the building, says, Bag Chaser Agile Night. Join Trap and Slay in your car and me in the Bag Chasers Discord on Saturday at 7 p.m. for Agile Night. If y'all are a part of the Patreon, which the link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat, and you join the Discord, the link to the Discord is in the description of the most recent videos inside of the Patreon. I want you guys to know that Agile Night, Bag Chaser Agile Night. Do you know what Agile is? You really want to learn what Agile is. Trust me. If you're going into any workplace, you've never heard of Agile before, let my people over in the Chasers give y'all a crash course of what Agile is. Okay? And then they're displaying their Kanban boards also. So Tech Coach Ralph says, Bag Chaser Agile Night, join Trap and Slay your car and me in the Bag Chasers Discord on Saturday, 7 p.m., y'all. For Agile Night, Trap will be showing off her new awesome Kanban board. Let me give a round of applause. Yeah. Come on, man. Align yourself with a group of people that's going in the direction that you're going in. More to the ends says, everyone is locked into this dumb rat beef-ish, but no one is speaking on the laws being passed worldwide. Because it's not popular. It's not popular. That's why I got to put the medicine inside of the candy. Ryan Wayne. Shout out to my dog, Ryan Wayne. Ryan Wayne in building. Shout out Ryan Wayne. My dog, Ash in the building. USA should not be in a proxy war with Russia. Second, Israel already receives foreign aid from USA on an annual basis. Fight your own wars. And lastly, Taiwan is a USA joke. China could invade today if they wanted. You know we in a chip war, though. We in a chip war, Ash. We in a chip war. Larry Walker says, I would like to know, what do we get out of all of this money going over to farming countries? We got to help our allies. We're keeping the world safe. And then we get access to things that we otherwise wouldn't have. Wink, wink. The Book of Kenny says they can pass a foreign aid bill to send to other countries, but flinch. Michigan hasn't had clean. No, that's not true. Michigan has, as a matter of fact, Detroit has one of the best state-of-the-art water systems in the country, yet alone the world. We also have the largest body of clean water in the world in the Great Lakes. Okay? It's not true. But Flint is completely separate from that, all right? And so it has nothing to do with the clean water itself. It has everything to do with the infrastructure, especially the pipes by which the water passed through, which then ultimately create the crisis that you're seeing up in Flint because they had bad infrastructure. A lot of jobs was being lost. The tax base was absolutely eroded. 2008 happened. It was just all bad. So, yeah, Flint was completely different from Michigan, which is also completely separate from Detroit because there's different water sources throughout the state. And so y'all got to think through what y'all saying before y'all say it because it's not 100% true. But we do want to continue to make sure that Flint is good, all right? It's Flint, not Michigan. Shout out to the Book of Kenny. I appreciate you. All right, y'all. Last but not least, let's get through this quickly. I'm going to get this 10 minutes, and then we're going to wrap it up, all right? Montana. Coke boys. Coke boys in the building. Why do French Montana always sound like that? Coke boys in the building. He always sound like his nose will stop. Coke boys in the building. Montana, another part of the country that decided that they wanted to embrace van life. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Check it out.
In some cities with growing numbers of homeless people, the issue goes beyond encampments in public places. They're also coping with more people living in cars and RVs parked on city streets. Montana PBS's Joe Lassar reports on how city leaders in Bozeman, Montana, are dealing with the tensions arising from this more visible display of homelessness.
I tell you, man, you got to have thick skin out here.
Oh, we got the windows broke out. That one up there is just completely gone.
Yeah, that one's had the BB come through there.
Steve and Belinda Ankney have been living in their trailer on the streets of Bozeman for the past 3 years.
We take plates around, or if people are having a hard time and they're not eating, they'll stop by and ask if we can help her anyway.
The rising cost of living has only compounded issues they've been facing for years.
I was raised with the drugs. I was raised with the alcohol. That's all I knew.
Both have struggled with addiction. Belinda works full-time at a restaurant, but health issues, made worse by inconsistent access to care, have affected Stephen's ability to work.
One of the biggest misconceptions is that we want to be here, that we're not trying to get out.
Belinda's legal troubles add another barrier to securing housing.
Yeah, the mental health issues, the drug issues, the in and out of incarceration, not getting the right help, not being on the right meds, you know, just
Urban camping, as it's been named, has
So wait a minute. You telling me that all of these self-inflicted wounds is preventing you from being what you're supposed to be, or preventing the system from allowing you to be what you're supposed to be? So in and out of prison, jail, incarceration, mental health, probably being raised in a single-parent household. I know we have to be good stewards. I know we got to take care of business. I know we got to help our neighbor. Let me also say that a lot of these issues are self-inflicted issues. I'm just going to be for real. A lot of these issues are self-inflicted wounds and issues. We're going to cover that tomorrow, Kojak. Shout out to you, big dog. Appreciate you, Kojak. A lot of this stuff is self-inflicted issues. And then my man over there, she working at a restaurant, and he chilling all day, sleeping all day inside of the camp. Because he said he got health issues and he can't work.
Increased by 200% in the last 2 years, according to city officials. It's a growing issue that's increasingly dividing Bozeman.
If Bozeman is too expensive to live in, choose another place to live.
But it feels more like a war zone with all this housing crisis.
Oh, listen, she said, look, if the city is too expensive to live in, then go find somewhere that's actually aligned with your budget. The same thing that we say when these women say, listen, that's what the women say. The women say that when it comes to dating. They say, listen, if you can't meet my expectations, then you need to date your wage. I'm sorry, date my age, ma'am? No, date your wage. Okay? Because we're not accepting anything less than what we know we deserve. We're better than this. So if you can't afford it, then you need to date your wage. Go and talk to somebody that actually is better for you. It's the same thing that she just said to y'all when it comes to housing. Look. Don't nobody deserve nothing. If you can't afford to live here, then you bound to drizzle. You know what I'm saying?
And no solutions to anything.
Bozeman doesn't owe anybody anything.
I've never seen it or been in a city where there's so much conflict over how this homelessness thing.
To tackle this growing issue, Bozeman recently implemented a new ordinance limiting camping in the same spot to 30 days, with an option for filing for an extension. There are rules about keeping camps clean.
See, this is the problem. If y'all was a little bit cleaner, then people wouldn't be sitting there telling you to get on out. But nope. Drugs, alcohol, just tearing up, defecating everywhere. This is the reason why these white girls be telling y'all, if you can't afford to live here, make sure you get up out of here. Go over there to Dalton, Illinois. Go talk to Tiffany Henyard. No, ma'am, we don't want to live over in Dalton, Illinois. We want to live right here in Montana, in Bozeman, ma'am.
And after 3 warnings, $25 civil penalties will be issued. If unsanitary conditions continue, the city can clear a camp 72 hours after giving notice. But some are criticizing city leaders for putting too much of a burden on the unhoused. Others feel they're being too lenient. Mayor Terry Cunningham says the rules about where camping will be allowed will help make the situation more manageable.
You can't be parked in front of a business. You can't be parked in front of a school, childcare facility, residence, etc. So narrowing the areas that it is acceptable to camp in front of is important so we can get some level of predictability and control.
But many camps are already in compliance with those rules. A group of businesses are suing the city, alleging that it is refusing to enforce existing laws within the homeless encampments. Andrew Hinnenkamp runs one of the businesses involved in the lawsuit.
Early on, we had some theft of services on the property. We had a little bit of a harassment interaction with an employee and one of the individuals.
Homelessness has always been on the radar. This, with urban camping, RVs, more cars, this is a recent phenomenon.
Because of the generators, new model cars, and TV antennas, there's a sentiment in Bozeman that people are choosing to camp in order to save money on housing. City officials acknowledge that some people are doing that and will be asked to move on. But figuring out who those people are comes with challenges.
One of the difficulties is having the discussion and saying, why are you currently homeless? They are not required to provide us with that information and often are uncomfortable answering those types of questions.
The population of people experiencing homelessness in Bozeman has increased by 50% since 2020. And the groups providing services to this growing population have struggled to meet the demand.
As a result of COVID, there was this big uptick in demand, and there was this outpouring of support, and now the outpouring of support has dropped off, but the demand has stayed up at this level, and the resources are very insufficient to meet the need.
Heather Grenier, who runs the nonprofit Human Resource Development Council, says her organization's caseload is at capacity, and there are not many alternatives available.
It's remarkably difficult because there's no pathway for us to help them. There's no housing. There's no rental assistance to help them get into a housing unit, even if there were a housing unit. There's no transitional housing.
Usage of HRDC's overnight shelter has nearly doubled since 2019. Some of that need should be eased when their new 24/7 shelter opens, but that's not expected until next year. Grenier believes this newer, more visible form of homelessness has caused a shift in attitudes around Bozeman.
The just general sentiment that everyone deserves a safe, warm place to sleep doesn't really resonate with everyone anymore.
You know the problem? Homelessness was cool. It was okay to deal with because let's just be honest, right? I know a lot of times that we say, oh no, this is van life or whatever. No, it's being homeless because nobody wants to live there, similar to what the lady just said. And so homelessness was okay to deal with because homelessness has always been around us and among us, but it was okay as long as it wasn't as visible and we can turn it off. But when it starts to become so visible that it's in front of your businesses, it's in front of your houses, you can't go to the park no more or whatever, then it's forcing you to deal with and address an issue and have uncomfortable conversations about things that you otherwise would have just ignored. It's similar to the drug epidemic when it came to crack, cocaine, and all of these things inside the neighborhoods and inside the hoods. As long as you can isolate it and separate it from what your standard of living is, it was okay for us to avoid having an uncomfortable conversation and trying to figure out how to solve for it on a mass scale. But when it starts to spill over into your neighborhoods, and now it's starting to be in the suburbs and cold places like Montana and California, it's always been a thing. And DC is tent cities there all day long. As long as it's not visible to you, you don't want to address it. And similarly to how I told you yesterday, that where there's no one-size-fits-all solution to how you solve for it because each individual case is dynamic or is unique, now people are starting to have the uncomfortable conversation as around it. Everybody is going to have to deal with all of these issues that we got. Unless you own an island or you own somewhere where you can be Larry Ellis and jet set off and go somewhere, everybody got to deal with it. It don't matter what you vote for. It don't matter if you're a man or a woman. When it starts to affect your quality of life and your children, it's going to become a thing. And homelessness is growing throughout the United States of America. And I know they want to call it the unhoused. No, you don't have a home. You're less a home. And so we're going to have to start having some uncomfortable conversations because I see this happening in every state. Almost every single state is dealing with some form of homelessness. I remember when I used to read and I was studying homelessness, and what I realized was that there was a group of people over in Florida that was living in the woods because they were sex offenders, and it was very difficult for them to find housing in neighborhoods that was close to schools or that people would accept them. And so they basically had made their own environment off the beaten path because it was the only place that they would be able to live, work, and play or accept each other. And so it wound up being a whole bunch of predators all in the same area together. So it's multifaceted. It's layered. It's got a lot of things that goes into it. There's a lot of things more than just the real estate pricing. It's a lot of that stuff. I'll give you an example. A lot of people want to live in these major cities. I see so many people crashing out trying to live in Miami and live this high life. Oh, man, we're going to move to Brickell. We're going to move to... No, you're not. You need to move further up north where it's something a little bit more affordable for you. Maybe you need to take some responsibility and fix your schools. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's places everywhere. There's cities everywhere. There's suburbs everywhere. There's places within your own city that you can grapple with and that you can start to live in, but you don't want to fix up your house. You think that you deserve it already, and you're going to crash out trying to keep up with the Joneses. So it's a layered approach, but I want to keep bringing visibility to this thing because it's not going away, and it's something that we eventually going to have to address on a mass scale, and it's not enough to just throw money at it. All right then. J-Hub says those trailers and RVs aren't well insulated. The winter will clear them out. No, it ain't. Them people ain't going nowhere. You don't know how resilient people that don't have a house are. I see them every single day. I see them sleeping on church steps. I see them sleeping in the corners of closed businesses. I see them breaking into homes. People are resilient. They're incredibly resilient. All right. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in for the Millionaire Morning Show. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. What we got tonight? What is it, Wednesday? Ooh, Wednesday. That means I get to really go in. I get to really, really talk my talk today. But I'm going to talk about solutions. I'm not going to tell y'all what I'm going to talk about, but make sure y'all tune into the Anton Daniels channel. We definitely going to get it in tonight. Wednesday, it's going to be popping. I'm excited to kick it with y'all. We're going to have it. We're going to run it up. We're going to get to this bag. We're going to get to this money. And we're going to start fixing some relationships, all right? If you're looking for solutions-based content, make sure you subscribe over here at the Millionaire Morning Show, Anton Daniels channel, and then After Hours. All right? And then Room 9, we getting that popping. First of the month, the same way that we started After Hours on the first of the year. 1st of May, Room 9, we getting it popping. It's going to be a completely different channel. All right? I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for rocking out with me. Again, make sure y'all get that Tiege Hanley, 30% off your first order plus 20% off of life. And then make sure you tap into the Patreon so you can align yourself with a group of people that's going in the direction that you're going in. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to need y'all to do me one more favor before we get up out of here. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. We don't need to be going in this direction by ourselves. We want people to come with us and win. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all be awesome. Don't fumble in the bag. You hear?